think 30 or 32 is the last number. So they're gonna start with kind of the major streets and they're gonna keep working around town. The big thing with, no parking signs is they're hoping to have all the vehicles, trailers, all that off the streets. When the crews get here tomorrow, they're able to just fog the street, lay, small P rock down. They're gonna roll it and then clean it up and continue moving on. So if there's vehicles, campers, and so on and so forth, it's just gonna kind of slow them down. They're gonna have to go around, come back. It's just kind of a pain. So if everyone can please have their vehicles moved off, greatly appreciate it. They're hoping to be completely done with Tioga, around mid-afternoon on Thursday. So it's gonna go pretty quickly. Like I said, it's just a minor inconvenience. If there's any questions, concerns, anything like that, my phone number is 701-741-7887. Call me, text me, leave me a voicemail, whatever. I'm on hitch working, so if I don't answer, I will call you back.
What was that number again, Kyle?
701-741-7887. So there will be large equipment going around town. They will have spotters, flaggers, flashing lights, things like that to keep everyone safe, but please have some due regard when they're nearby your house. In regards to, I guess, the PD side, there's been some items that have occurred. One of them will be, under the resignation slot later on in the agenda. We also did have an officer get injured, while on duty. So that gentleman will be out of commission for a little bit. So just have to bear with us. A little short-staffed right now, but we're gonna get through it. Like I said, SO is also assisting. So if there's any issues and Tioga PD is unavailable or not around, Sheriff's Department is stepping in, and if we absolutely need the HP, will also help. I think that's about it. I know our free landfill days did get extended to a few days, so I think that's about it. So
not much for me to report. There'll be a few things on the agenda, I guess. There kind of would be kind of some stuff that I've been working on. The CDs are maturing, so we got to figure that out. And then there'll be a request for a position that we wanted to fill. So I guess, yeah. Other than that, I got nothing else.
Water side, not a whole lot to report. We're just still, like I've been saying, working on the lagoon. We're gonna start, we'll have a contractor here next month, so we're just getting prepped and ready for him.
No, when about they're gonna be here?
I would have to look, I believe it's the beginning of July.
Yeah, a month to get ready for him.
Yeah, which we just need to get the sludge pumped down. I believe after that, we're ready.
Yeah, we need to make a strong look at where we can dispose of the, I'm hearing it might have to go to quarry disposal, if not over by mine off. Could get really costly.
Yeah.
On my end, I think I'm just gonna brag for a minute. I don't know if all of you guys know or not, but we had a grant for the nature trail up at the Tioga Dam back in 2022. Nothing was charged to it. There was no receipt saying that we had action moving on it. Long story short, it expired in 2023. Roughly $200,000 in uncommitted grant money that was gonna expire. Wendy kind of did her thing, worked her magic, and guess what? Within one day, about Wendy, is that right?
Yep.
It's the money back, so. That's pretty incredible that somebody can work on something in a matter of days and recover that amount of money on something that was a multi-year process, so. So I'm still very firm that I think it's a blessing that she chose us to work here, and that's gonna be my story until, well, forever.
Good job, Wendy.
Okay, modification or approval of the agenda. I know there is going to be a little bit of shuffling needed, but Eli, if you're ready to rock right away, right? Okay. So we've got a couple questions or options for the Freedom Fest. If it's okay with you guys, I'd like to add that as number 12 on new business. And then we also have a, the calendar raffle for the Northwest Sportsman Association that we might possibly add if you guys are okay with it. So we would go Freedom Fest number 12 on new business, Northwest Sportsman Association 13. You guys have anything you want to add? All right, so we just need a motion to approve a modified agenda with those additions.
I'll move to approve the agenda with the changes, Freedom Fest and Northwest raffle being added.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the modified agenda with Freedom Fest going 12 and Northwest Sportsman Association going 13 under new business. Any discussion on that? Okay, move to a vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. Old business. Liz, are you on? Yes, she is.
Here I am. Can you hear me okay?
Pretty good.
Very good. Well, good evening, everyone. I too promise I'll be brief. I do have a couple of firm updates now that we have some items filed into court. I guess first matter surrounds the streets, the reconstruction in the Benson area. Kind of a mixed bag there, guys. Still on for trial. There has been extensive communication between counsel. We were originally slated to go to trial in late September of this year. Due to some procedural matters and some necessary threshold motions between parties other than the city of Tioga, actually, and discovery process, that trial has been moved to March 9th. Delay is never good. I don't love delay. I know the community doesn't love delay, but I tell you, it's a mixed bag because honestly, with the trial having, have originally been set in late September, the likelihood of rehabilitating that irrespective of the verdict after that date, I think would have been pretty slim given our construction season. So as a practical matter, there's the frustration of the time change, but as a practical matter, I don't think that's going to affect the outcome of reclamation when we get there. So that's item number one. And I'll communicate with the requisite parties regarding depot dates and things. I know our engineer and Brett have been involved in that, and I don't expect that we'll have anyone else, but I'll keep you all posted on that. We have good news, or maybe it's a mixed bag, I don't know, but seems like good news to me on the laptop. I know Mr. Anderson and other community members have inquired on several occasions what the status of that matter is. I am pleased to report that over approximately the last month, and more nearly the last couple of weeks, Brett and I have been in pretty ready communication with the state's attorney's office. The state's attorney did make demand on behalf of the city of Tioga for return of the laptop. The laptop did arrive back to the city shortly before this meeting. I can't say much beyond that at this point, folks, because that's a matter that, as we've previously indicated, lies with law enforcement and the appropriate authorities. But at a minimum, at least we have that back. There are still communications occurring on that point to every degree that we can, maintain updates to the community about what's happening there, we certainly will. But I definitely wanted to let Mr. Anderson and others know who've repeatedly inquired. At least we've taken that substantial step, and there's been some action and some corrections. So there will be more discussion of that later as, again, more becomes known. Oh, I'm sorry, Brett. Oh, I thought I heard you. Sorry. And I think for tonight's purposes, other than whether you guys need me at any point in the agenda, I'll certainly be here and I'll be listening. But I think that's all I have to share for this evening.
Guys, any questions for Liz? Okay, thanks, Liz. All right, Josh, do you want to handle this one or want us to just take it? Dealer's choice. I think we can do it, but if you want to talk, we'll take it.
Good evening, Chief. Simply because I didn't want to put applicants through that process to not have a job for them at the end, as I've done once already. So what I'm looking to do, in essence, is continue with advertising, or I'd like to start advertising for that one position, but to be consistent with how you guys have handled your advertisements since taking your oaths of office. What I'd like to do is kind of modify what I'm looking for here. Obviously, it's going to be for a patrol officer, but I'm looking for the salary, starting salary to be between $56,701.24, which is step 0 on the patrol officer scale, to $62,513.12, which is going to be step 2 on the patrol officer scale. With that, leading up to today, we have offered an increased step for officers that come to us with experience. So I want to make sure I outline that to maintain a level of consistency. So, with an applicant that would start at step 0, that applicant would have no prior law enforcement experience, corrections experience, or equivalent experience that we would have to put through the academy. The academy, I should note, there's no tuition for us to pay. We only have to pay their benefits and their salary while they attend the academy, which is a pretty good deal for the city of Tioga. What I would like to see for an applicant that comes to us that is either post-certified with no law enforcement experience, corrections experience, or equivalent, or if there's an applicant that comes to us with corrections experience or equivalent, because that corrections experience, certainly can be beneficial to the position here. We'd like this maybe see starting at step 1, which would be the $59,536.30 annually. And then, of course, if we have a licensed applicant that applies, gets the position, and they have at least 1 year or greater of experience as a law enforcement officer, then we would like to start them at step 2, which would be that $62,513.12. So that would be our way to try to maintain a level of competitive pay, especially with folks that are already licensed and experienced.
The only thing I see is you've got a deadline till June 17th. Second now, if we publish it now, when would that actually hit paper? So it'd be Saturday the
Okay, so I'd have to,
7th. So that would be like a week and a couple days.
right, yeah, the idea I think was a 2-week, window. I wasn't sure when that would run in the paper. So what I can do is I can amend that opening to be open from the 7th of June, or even, effective tomorrow through the 21st of June or the 20th of June, and that way it's a Friday afternoon deadline.
And that would be on a day short of 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, how about Monday, the 23rd? And then that puts us a little bit over that then.
And that would give you time to do all your interviews, vet candidates before the next commission meeting. I would assume that would be enough time. I mean, it happens quick when you have a good candidate pool, right?
No, it doesn't. So I mean, we do conduct the interviews, but then there's a background check process to that. Closing it on the 23rd would effectively put us after the next commission meeting, which would be the 16th of the week following.
No, that's what I mean. If you keep it open until the 21st, you'd be doing interviews to the 23rd. Week of the 23rd, the week of the 30th, hopefully by the week of the 30th, you'd be ready to make a selection and do the background stuff.
Oh, yes, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Be ready to request approval to hire July 7th.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Guess if you want to do advertise until June 21st, or you'll be accepting applications until June 21st.
Yeah. Then I suppose the intention too would just, maybe we could start advertising on our Facebook effective tomorrow, if that's okay, and advertise in the paper for 2 weeks, close it on the 21st and move forward.
You guys understood the history of what Josh was saying. We gave approval once before anticipating that there was going to be a departure, but departure changed his mind and decided to stay, thankfully. But now we have a new departure to backfill, so we're doing the same thing twice. We're not adding an extra position, we're just doing it.
Yeah, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the advertisement with the amendment of ending the posting on June 21st.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second to approve the advertisement for new law enforcement officer. Keep it clean. Any questions on that? Any discussion? Move to a vote?
Yes.
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 And motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. All right, Eli, you're up. I'm gonna make this a little bit easier on you. I see our oath of office form isn't quite correct for you. You live in Epping, correct?
That's right.
So we're gonna have to draft up a new one. So we got options. Do you want to go wedding vow style, or do you want to just read it?
After you, my friend.
I, Daniel Eli McMillan of Epping, North Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of North Dakota, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the City of Tioga Airport Board Authority, Airport Authority Board, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Thank you. Okay, ready to sign that, everybody?
Before we move on, Eli, we're super excited to have you. We know you're awfully ambitious to help out, and I know they need the help, obviously. They've been asking for an extra member for a while, so good luck to you. Reach out to any one of us for help. We know next to nothing about aviation. I know you know a lot, so you bring a lot to the table, and
Flying's exciting, but it's only exciting if you obey all the rules. Otherwise, it's exciting in all the wrong ways. So same thing applies to this. Okay.
okay, thank you. All right, next on new business, we have the asphalt repair quote. Well, it is all yours again.
So I've been working with Kirk and talking about a few items, as far as some kind of safety concerns. One of the items has been, Signal Road. Asphalt is really breaking up pretty bad in some certain areas. He was in contact with Knife River. They're going to be doing the high school parking lot. We actually met with them. It was on, I think Friday, I did, we're getting confused, but so they put together a quote for us in regards to that. Big area was over by the water tower was one spot, and then kind of in between was a few spots. And over by Main Street was another spot that's busting up really bad. So that's what this quote is regarding. The quote is for $42,988. All the asphalt that'll be torn out would just go to the landfill. So we, of course, we just crush that ourselves. And then reuse it for our own purpose. That's what this quote is regarding. I guess there's any questions?
Has to happen, we know that. It was not budgeted though. So what are we gonna do to pay for this?
Yeah, that is correct. It was not budgeted. Last year, there was a small spot, or I guess two small spots that did get patched. Since that time frame, the cracking and busting has been just before them, just with the heavy loads of traffic, semis and so forth. So it needs to get done. Fortunately.
I think Wendy. I really hate to go with the old generic oil and gas will be covered, but. They can pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, we have some unexpected interest income that, obviously wasn't included in the budget this year. And so I think we could maybe reallocate some of that too.
Hey guys, what do you think? Gotta get done. I mean, that's been awful for months now.
I guess I'll move to approve the asphalt repair quote from Knife River for $42,988.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. The asphalt repair quote, $42,988. Discussion on that? Steven, you good? Go vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. Next up is you, Steven. So lift station repair.
So we had a quote up there. Excuse me. We're wanting to repair some rails. The existing ones are just outdated, say. And we had a quote from sewage for North Dakota Sewage Pump and Lift Station Service Co. And what they're looking to do is come in, remove the two existing rails and all of the old accessories, assemblies, gaskets, anything there, and completely replace with all of it. Everything will be new from the ground up. This quote will have all the parts, everything involved, labor, all in one shop. And the quote is for $9,885 even. We're hoping to get to it as soon as possible. I don't have the exact date, but this quote is valid for 30 days. Which that we got this quote literally almost 30 days ago. So valid for about 3 months.
What are the guide rails for?
I believe, from my understanding, just from the outside there, they're just a safety rail.
So
I can kind of touch on that. So in regards to the lift station, there's rails that go down to the bottom and are fastened on the bottom. And then there's a catch basket that catches all the big debris that goes through your sewage piping. So it catches all the big debris and your water, your liquids drop out to the bottom. And then those get pumped to the other lift station, the main lift station over by Hess driveway area. But it's a big rail system, so the basket can get raised and lowered on there. And then when it gets full, that's get pulled up, dumped, emptied, cleaned up, and then drop back down. And over time, they're just getting corroded, busting off. So they're shaken and they're not secured. So debris is going down to the bottom and then it's clogging up the pump. And then we have a cascade effect of issues.
So another, it's a must type item.
Pretty much.
Yes.
9,885.
I'll make a motion to approve the quote for $9,885 for North Dakota pump station.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the lift station repair quote in the amount of $9,885. Discussion on that. We'll vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. New business number 6, we have the Tioga Police Department resignation. Tell you what, guys, I'm not gonna read this. We'll just need a motion to approve the formal resignation of Officer Rising, effective May 22nd, 2025.
I make a motion to approve Zach Rising's resignation letter.
I'll second that.
And we have a motion and a second to approve Officer Rising resignation letter. So to vote.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. New business number 7, the Bank of Tioga CD maturity. David, do you want to cover that one? If not, I certainly can.
Yeah, I can. So we have our CDs maturing again. So we need to decide what we're going to do with that money and the interest that we accrued. So it looks like we have a few options from the Bank of Tioga, a few proposals. We can do 6 month, 12 month, 24 month, varying interest rates. We could also just, not put the money in CD, we could put it back in our accounts. That's also an option, but, I think that, we're not gonna do anything with it. I think we should just put it right back into the CD. And the interest we got off of it as well. That's just my opinion, but. Guys have any input on that?
Was there any plans for it once it matured? When was the last round on it?
The last CD, it was for. With a 6-month again, the interest rate would be like 3.26%. So it'd be a little bit better than what our checking account is. So
I'm looking at it right now. It looks like our checking's at 3.65.
Checking is at 3%. It just adjusted the first of the month.
so it's down at 3. Yeah. Higher.
I guess my only question is, what's, how many dollars do we put into that 6-month CD if that was route we're going?
Well, it'd be like 5 million and then whatever we heard for interest, which was like,
The balance right now is 5,230,321.16. So just shy of quarter. I would think you'd want to roll the entire balance interest and all, right?
I think that'll, I actually think we should probably allocate more into the CD as well. That can be its own deal, I guess, but. I mean, even if we sunk another 5 million into another 6-month CD, still have like. So, I mean, plenty of room there.
We still got to pay off the existing community center. Still good. That was just shy of 3.
Yep.
I agree. I think we should throw more money into the CD. We have no intention of spending large amounts of money unless the community tells us to. I think the direction right now is just stack it.
I think at least for 6 months, I think, yeah, definitely that's our plan, so.
I think, Wendy.
Yeah, I agree.
So for today, you're okay with just the 5.23 and change? Or do you want to go more?
What do you think? What do you think the number should be?
I mean, I would like to go more. And if the interest rate is higher on CD, I'm checking right now. The locked-in rate, we're checking variable,
It is.
Yes, yeah, yeah, it could change.
it's a good number. And it'll keep us responsible, right? Shiny new toy, we're not gonna have the urge to spend.
It's just good business practice, right? I mean, go where your money's gonna make the most, so. Well,
What do you think?
they should probably, well, okay, so. First off, I'll just, make a motion to roll the existing, CD back into another, 6-month CD
I'll second that.
for that 5 1/4.
Okay. All right. You seconded that, right? Okay, we got a motion and a second to roll over the expiring CD into a new CD. With the funds amounting $5,230,321.16 for a 6-month term. Fair? Okay, any discussion on that?
Can I just clarify? It's not a new CD, it's just renewing the current CD for another term.
Even
Yeah.
easier. Rework.
Did I change my wording on that?
Well, I just don't want to have to close this one out and open a new CD if that wasn't your intention. So we're just renewing this for another term.
I'll amend my motion to, say that we are just renewing this one. Yeah.
I still second that.
Okay, still have a second to renew our existing CD for another 6-month term at a rate of 3.26 APR. You good there? Okay, I'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. All right, next we got a special event liquor license permit. This one is for Nat House during Freedom Fest. Yeah, that's the skinny on that. So it's a special liquor license for Fourth of July, street dance. They've got a couple proposals. They've got a tent. Inside the tent is their first option. Second option is outside the tent. One of the items that I wanted to talk about on number 12, obviously, at Freedom Fest was the title. There's been an ask that I think we all need to understand and consider that bars are not set up under the tent this year. We run out of space awfully quickly, and depending on how many stages that the band brings, we need to be mindful of that.
So I make a motion to approve the special liquor license with the option number 2, which would be outside of the tent.
Why?
Why outside the tent?
Yeah, what does it hurt to have it under the tent?
What I was saying, as far as space under the tent.
What?
Space under the tent being used up by bars.
There's 4,000 square feet of that tent, and the bar takes up about maybe 100 square feet.
Just the bar, not the line leading up to the bar.
Pardon me?
Just the bar does. We're not considering the line leading up to the bar.
Been that they've allowed it for 10 years practically. I don't know what problem it's caused.
Our bars in town, when it first originated, all donated to that tent. Who purchased that tent? They do.
No, I won't.
So-
Bars,
So if we can hang
I
on,
have paper to show that to you.
if we can hang on a second. So we have a motion on the floor.
To approve the special liquor license with option number 2 that was submitted on the paperwork.
Correct. So,
With an ad help.
correct. So we need to either second that motion and to fail it, and then we can debate.
I'll second.
Second, to approve the special liquor license for the Pat House, considering option number 2, which is outside the tent. We are open for discussion.
So now with that being said, can you please come to the mic so everyone can hear the discussion, please?
My name is Mark Colby, and this is Ottawa. Representing Ottawa Tavern right now. And I was on the committee when it first started. 2001. And I was on the board for 19 years, with the committee with me. And always had a bar or a tent. Then rain, whatever. And one time we had 2 bars from the tent, because there's plenty of room. 2 bars. Which had in the past at least twice I know of. And these bars committed money towards this, not just the tent or the trailer or the whole system that goes on, everything. So I can't see why we can't have a bar or the tent we've already donated money towards. And I can have paperwork to prove that. They're with me, I didn't need it. I have paperwork to show the bars donate money through gaming mainly. But then was the Model Tavern, Skull Bar, Jungle, and DJs. Now, both bars, one bar's gone, two bars have changed names, but they still donate money to this event.
So I guess I have a question for you, Mark, I go as well.
So my question is, you said you're representing the Model Tavern. This license is for that house.
Right. Are you going to getting no bars are in the tent?
Just haven't applied yet.
It's not in general.
What if 3 or 4?
What's that?
What if 3 or 4 apply and all want to be under the 10?
Still here, we stand.
What if more bars apply? What if other entities?
This year?
Yeah.
Only one so far. But we're going to apply. But if we can't have bars over the tent at all, at least we gotta buy or rent another tent.
That's correct. I mean, there's this, I mean, we've got these ultra wide sidewalks now, so we can turn Main Street into a one way. I would think that a bar would fit on these really big sidewalks. I mean, the ask was that we don't put bars under the tent this year.
But the bars have donated money for that tent, why can't we have a bar over the tent? That's my point.
What problem does it produce besides?
As far as room, there's plenty of room. We had last year, there's some conflict, blah, blah, we had 2 bands.
What was the conflict last year?
We were called by one of the committee members of the,
Class reunion.
there's 2 bands booked for the same night, at the same time, same night. In the past, we've had bands. Many times, 2 bands, but one in the afternoon, one in the evening. This time, something that, whatever, 2 bands at the same night. We were told 2 days prior to the event, that we can't be ready to attend. It was already approved by the commission here. We called 2 days in advance, or previous this year, you move your bar. We can't, without going to a few people and get our bar moved to the tent out to the street. So we said, no, well, that gets people off. So we didn't move. We couldn't without going to your permission. So the band on the west end of the tent and a band on the northeast corner tent and the bars on the southeast corner, northeast corner tent. Plenty of room. And there's room for 2 bars for the tent and the band is 4,000 square feet. There's plenty of room for everybody to.
What's the main concern with not being in the tent?
Rent a tent, buy a tent, and our tent, your 2 elements.
For the elements, and that's the reason.
Pardon me?
Just to battle the elements, that's the
Right,
reason.
exactly, yeah. And there's power right there. On that corner for this kind of project. By the northwest corner, there's power. This kind of needs to happen.
So I guess-
It's being turned down to the other word, I think that's totally, plenty of room, very room. Okay.
Well, and that's why we're talking about it. We've heard one side that says there's not enough room. One side that says there is enough room.
Well,
And that's
the
what
rest
we're
for me for 19 years is day one. I know. In fact, I actually purchased that tent, not my own money, but I was going to purchase it through the Freedom Fest Committee for $13,000. So I know for 19 years, so I know what's going on.
So I guess I have a question for you, Mark. So let's say that the rig, they have a special license to also be under the 10. Then we have Port Decisions, and then we have the model, and then we've got Madhouse. Maybe the Mexican restaurant, hypothetically, there's on 5.
Now, the Freedom Fest Committee, what I would do, also on the committee, which I would say, you contact all 4 or 5 bars Said, you want to come down here? If they, three say no, one said whatever. There's two that say yes, you welcome. There's room for two. Room for three, maybe not. Then you go and draw a hat, so to speak, and say, okay, you two this year, you two next year. And that's the process. That way there's no favoritism. Make sense?
No, I get where you're coming from at a certain point, but it's, on the other hand, with the families, with the kids and things like that, at a certain point, it's nice to have alcohol kind of segregated. I feel,
The first thing.
but that's my opinion, but not saying it's 100% right, but I feel that the bar should be outside the tent. Activities, kids dancing, whatever, should be inside. If there's not enough room, I mean, I just don't think it's right.
I disagree with that. I mean, kids. I've been taking my kids to see event long before that spot. That was in June 6th of 2011. And prior to that, for 3 or 4 or 5 years, I went back to tent for Wilson, rented a tent. The Wilson Park rent. I mean, the kids were always there.
Kids are up and down the streets and no matter where we're at, they're gonna walk past the bar.
So I think, since Trey's here, I think if Trey's willing to, I'd like to ask him a few questions as well, since he's here. Because they're the ones that actually have the special liquor license in question. We haven't signed anything with the model or board decisions or anything, so I'd like to ask Trey a few questions if you're willing. So I guess, how do you feel in regards to what's being discussed?
So last year we were just kind of in front of the madhouse, and this year, we want to get closer to activities, get more traffic, sell more booze, get more money, that sort of thing, but I think, I don't want to set the market already toes. I don't want to be one in the bar. I said put them in, or one of the tent, I said put them in the tent. Will just be in front of the post office that we have on point two.
Do you feel that's playing favoritism?
To bar going underneath,
Correct.
they doing it how many years?
We work together. I'm sorry.
Judy had told me that if one bar was gonna be under the tent, that she wouldn't mind the other one being under there.
And
Can you please state that over again, please?
I was told by Judy Odegaard that if she was going to try to get both bars, she didn't want any bars under the tent. But if one bar was gonna be under there, she didn't see a problem with another one being under. So two as well. If you wanna say that two bar, or have liquor all together, then being by the post office and under the tent, that's more separated than just being beside each other.
So you put two options down. You got option 1 under the tent, option 2 outside the post office. Which is essentially across the street from the model, if they put in a special liquor license for this event as well, right? Why couldn't it be that we put in a provision that they go outside unless there's inclement weather and then put them in? I know that's some work. But that's the whole thing, right? We're talking about inclement weather.
And or shade, you have the elements, period. And the bar's gonna have coolers, you just don't move your bar from here, point A to point B in 5 or 10 minutes.
I don't know if you'd have to do it in 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh, last year, I guess problem was there's gonna be 2 bands. You know what's going on this year, how many bands, or
Not one clue.
they've been doing in the beginning, be on the tent. 1 year, next year, 19 years.
But if the Freedom Fest is asking that no bars be under the tent, it's their event.
Freedom Fest.
So if they don't want bars under the tent, then we probably should put bars under the tent if that's what the people that are putting it on.
Exactly what is the problem with them being under the tent besides people lined up?
Well, I don't know, but
What
that's not,
problems does
know.
it cause?
that's,
Judy?
Jaden, for what it's worth, I think Jaden makes a fair point, and I don't have the background. I haven't spoken with anyone at Freedom Fest, but if I'm following correctly, you're indicating that the folks who host and organize it are indicating they don't want bars under the tent. Is that right, Jaden?
yeah, I mean, I don't, like, yeah, I know bars have been under there before, but that's their ask, so I guess that's the point that I see, is if they're putting on the event, if they don't want something a certain way, I mean, they should be the ones to kind of decide that, I would think.
And I guess I just say that, and again, I'm not offering a preference or a viewpoint, but I would hate to see the city approve a license that only led to conflict with the actual organizers. That's where I guess I think Jaden's point is something I'm tracking with. I figured I would share that. I think that's an important concern.
Well, we put in 2 options. Well, we thought was best. Well, you want it.
Right.
So
And
we're going to work with you there.
I'm fairly supportive of your narrative on the situation. They are hosting the event. If that's their ask, that's their ask.
I just would really like to know why all of a sudden it's not appropriate to have bars under the tent.
Because folks from the Freedom Fest requested that we consider that. We are considering
Well,
that.
why are they requesting it? What was the problems that they had? with it?
Space.
They-
Brett, can I share? Because I am on the Freedom Fest committee.
Yeah.
And I'll just share because I am on the Freedom Fest committee. You're right, maybe 1 out of 19 years, but last year was a big year in the Freedom Fest committee and all school reunion. Spent a lot of time and planning and a reminder that it is all volunteer. And so because of that being under the tent and the model saying, we work together, while we asked them, it would really work better for this year to be able to have 2 stages. And that was a hard no for them, that, listen, we have this permit, we're not gonna move, we're not gonna work with you. That's how it's gonna be. And so when these volunteers are organizing these events for the benefit of these businesses and communities, when there's a small ask like that, you would hope that they would work with you. And that's not what happened last year. And so to avoid that this year, we're just saying, any bars, could they be outside of the tent?
Well, our liquor license was approved for the tent by the city, so we couldn't just pick up and move it because we wouldn't be in compliance.
Exactly.
right.
2 days notice.
Like, now they're just trying to dissolve that conflict, like, there was conflict last year about that, and now you're here asking why there is a problem. There was a problem last year. Now they're
Well, it
just,
worked out fine. They had their stage.
yeah, I don't
Turned out
disagree.
It turned out perfect.
Yeah.
Turned out fine. The other stage fit on the other side of the tent from us.
Well, there's gotta be a reason why they asked that there's no bars under the tent this year. And you know what I think is if we put the bars outside of the tent and we get a monsoon, we gotta put a provision in there that you can move under the tent if inclement weather starts. I think it'll also turn out fine.
The problem is people who donated to this event are getting penalized because of somebody just think they're.
Well, you just heard that a lot of people donate to this event.
Oh, yeah.
Not just money, but
Last
time,
19 years, I know who donated, how much they donated. I got records of all
not just money, not just money, time, that's worth something
of them.
too.
I know. Many hours of it with Judy.
Okay, guys, so we still have motion and a second to approve the special special permit to sell alcohol for the Freedom Fest event with option number 2. Is there any more discussion on that? Oh, no. Good. Okay, let's move to a vote.
Yes.
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 And yes, that motion carries.
Can anyone hear us that's on Teams, please?
I can hear you now.
Thank you.
Hey Liz, where did you guys get cut off?
It kind of went silent after the liquor license motion and approval.
So we may have passed all that, it sounds like, so we can go on to this. Festival here.
Okay, so what we have is, here is a request for approval to hire. We had some really good interviews. We conducted, 4 of them. Really good candidates, lots of experience. We kind of, talked about it and decided that, Brenda Rhodey would be, the best fit for the position. So we went ahead and, proceeded with a background check, drug screening. And that all checked out, so, now I'm just here requesting approval for hire for Brenda Rhodey for the deputy auditor position, kind of under the finance and accounting side of it. Position is hourly, wanted to start out at, $28.39 an hour. What do you guys think?
Start date, June 16th, that still works.
Yep, I think so.
I make a motion to approve the request for approval of Brenda Rhodey.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the hire of Brenda Rhodey for the deputy auditor position. Any discussion on that, guys?
I'll just add, found out during the interview, she's got a ton of experience in finance, accounting. So I think, showing her the ropes and stuff, I think she'll catch on really easy, and I think she'll, get along great with everybody in-house. So it should just be a good deal all around, so.
Strong team's a good team.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to a vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. Got you. All right, number 10, this is South Dakota Street, the right away. Culvert, the buggy on this one. I think, we've talked about this once at a commission meeting, right? or twice.
Talked about the once before.
Yeah.
I think, well, not necessarily on the previous time we met was I was asking about help on the water and sewer to go north to the trailer court. And that kind of just fizzled out and I think the city engineer, he said he got a quote for like 700,000. I got a quote for like 250, 200, 210. Anyway, I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't have the money to pay to put that 8-inch sewer line and 6-inch water line to the north to the trailer court. So I just kind of gave up after that. I kind of just said, you know what, I'm putting everything on hold. So, but I'm here tonight to talk about to the south of my property, which actually joins up to the Odegaard's driveway. I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys and come up with an agreement, I guess, or see what you guys think. I just wanted to hand these out to you. This is an actual receipt that what I paid for the 6-inch water line and the 8-inch sewer line from the edge of their property to my house and then past my house, probably maybe 100 feet. So it's an actual, water was 322 feet and the 8-inch sewer line was 240 feet. So here, I'd like to hand these out. I do have to mention that there is $3,500 that the cost to tie in my actual line to this line. So that was actually in there too, and that was $3,500. So technically I paid, $38,300 for the city's infrastructure with the 8-inch sewer line and the 6-inch water line. So that being said, what I'm trying to say is that there is an issue with a right of way. Technically, I guess, access, the Odegaards, their driveway, like a couple inches off of their driveway, my property line starts. And they're uncomfortable. Hold on. There. So they're uncomfortable with me passing away or moving, just saying, you know, I'm out of here, oil's gone, whatever. And the next person who buys the property, and it's their deal, right? I'm gone. Yeah, and so they are worried that the next people who purchase the house could say, hey, you know what? I don't want you on my property, like meaning I don't want you being able to drive to your driveway. So we kind of talked, the city and I, few years ago, we actually talked about the city purchasing the land or whatever, and I was kind of hoping that the city would do something with the city, sewer water to the north, and so basically what I'm proposing is if the city pays or reimburse me and my wife the money to put the city sewer and water in, the 6-inch water line and the 8-inch sewer line only, that I would give them the 0.68 acres of land. That would, I guess, I don't know, I guess the dream of other past people that have sat where you're at were thinking of at one time maybe putting a park, you know, over in that area. And that would actually gain access to that land with, you know, a road or a nice walkway or whatever. because it would be the city's property at that point. So what I'm asking basically is for the city to, if I could get reimbursed for that water and sewer line that I had to pay, that was an unforeseen bill that I had to pay, and I did not expect that. But if I could get reimbursed for that, and then I can grant, then you guys pay for the survey. And then I'll give you that right of way land. And then you own the land and they're good with the, having access and whatever the future holds for the city of Tioga, whatever anybody wants to do with putting a park in or not. Basically, I don't care at that point. So,
Brian, didn't they already say they were gonna do that? Well, not the water line, I guess, but weren't they already going to purchase? Weren't they already set to purchase like the land?
that there was kind of like a verbal agreement a few years
But it
ago.
never happened, right?
No, it never
Okay.
happened.
So
It never
there's no
finalized.
follow-up.
It's basically what I had was, and I don't know if you remember, but I had a plat.
I think what they wanted to, for that you had platted out, they were just gonna pay market value, right? But it never happened. Never
Well,
actually happened.
It was actually extremely below market value.
Okay.
But then since then, market value has gone up, but what I was trying to accomplish at that point was I was trying to divide those lots into 1 acre lots. And I was basically I didn't really care about that little right of way. I was kind of like, hey, I'm gonna try to work on this and to get the sewer and water. And I thought that things would be a lot easier. They haven't been. So I'm just kind of saying now I'm putting all that on hold. I'm no longer splitting anything up as of this moment. Cause that's probably a long process and it's gonna take a while. And I was approached by Lindsay. And she was kind of, like I said, she was worried. She said, well, if you guys die, like, I don't want you guys or anything to happen to you, but if you die and Joe Smo gets your land, and I said, well, I'd like for the city to do something, or if you guys want, you guys can pay for a survey to get done. And we'll pour it off a little chunk or whatever, you know what I mean? So you'll have at least access, to your driveway, but I'm kind of saying, like, hey, I've talked to a couple of you guys and you agreed that me having to pay the 40 or 38 and change for the city sewer and water to get installed out of my pocket was kind of, not fair.
Well, where did it go? Is it under the half street or is it like in your yard, the 6 and 8 inch?
It's in the half street.
And you went beyond your house?
It's beyond the house. There's actually cones there.
Why? Why did you have to go beyond your house if you were paying for it? You should be tying into our mains.
Because
Why did you have to put in the mains plus your lines?
my original plan was I had the plat map and it was gonna be 1.5 acres for our property. So what I wanted to do in my thought process was I wanted to get the water and sewer past my original plotted map, which is null and void, right? So like my chunk of land is this table. And I wanted to bring it past this point. So whoever I sold the 1 acre lot next and the other acre and the other acre, that they could just carry the water and sewer on themselves. Like I'm just out of it. I was gonna do that and then I'm like, no, I don't want to.
And I was going to the north then, right?
Yes,
To the north, yeah, to the north of your, your property,
yep.
or of your house, excuse me.
North of the house, cause there's a transformer there, there's gas line there. There's every utility you can think of, like at that point where the water and the sewer is. Does that make sense or?
It makes sense.
I don't know if I'm explaining.
I don't understand why you had to put in the main lines to get to your house
The main lines?
in the 6 and 8. normally you connect to our mains.
I've talked to a lot of people and they say the same thing.
I also don't understand how the Odegaards were able to build a house with their driveway access to your property. How did that even,
Well, we dropped the ball on that one. Well, not we, but the city dropped the ball on that one.
now what? Like,
Well, I mean, I guess it's up to the city to do something or the order guards are gonna have to. Cause no offense, it's nothing with this panel here, but I'm kind of just fried. I'm done. I've sunk, I mean, this is personal. I'll get a little personal with you guys, but I've sunk a ton of money into that house. Like a ton, like where I'm uncomfortable. So my comfort level is already here. So I'm just over it, like, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? So
so now you're not interested in separating those lots, which
that's,
means there's
If-
essentially how many houses that we will never have houses on. It's just
If-
gonna be,
I can't afford to put another dime and to put 6-inch and 8-inch sewer water line to the north. I'm not gonna do it, like, it's not, so.
thank you, that's a lot of money for just a couple of feet.
And then some people are like, oh, no, you'll make money. It's like, I don't want the headache. Like, that's money out. Then when I separate the lots, I have to pay taxes on them all, because they're parceled out. Like, it's uncomfortable for me, where it's like, just leave it all one big lot. And the next guy can do with it whatever they want with it, you know what I mean? If you guys later on wanna discuss something down the road, then I'm always, my phone's always on. You know what I mean? I'm all ears, I'm up for anything. I'm just trying to we're trying to work something out where I can get, it would be nice to get reimbursed to put the city stuff in and then hit 2 birds with 1 stone, and they have access and you guys have land.
Well, we haven't forgot about the water line thing, just so you know. It's
Yeah.
just, not really sure how to go about that yet still, but as far as the right of way is concerned, so we dropped the ball once by even permitting the garage to go that way. And then you were already supposed to be paid something for that, and you never got paid, so we dropped the ball twice, actually. So looking on GIS, there's like 10 hypothetical, if you broke it up in the same parcel quantity, there's like 10 parcels that would be able to fit throughout your whole land that you own going to the north. That's looking at GIS roughly, give or take 10. And then possibility of 10 new homes that could be built there, future expansion if someone got to go there. So you're looking to get, if we want to annex that, which is what was discussed, right? You want to be paid for that.
The water.
And well, what about the land?
Well, I was just gonna be nice and just reimburse me and they're happy, I'm okay. And then, you know, I talked to my dad, he's like, you better make a paper bowl. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying, I'm just trying to, I'm just, I'm trying.
Well, I mean, I think you should be paid for the land for sure. And then, I don't know, what do you guys think about the sewer water?
Can I just
Well, 'cause I
ask,
mean, if we're gonna annex it, I mean, we have to,
we can't annex it. It's within the city. So I think we're probably using the incorrect words. That land is within the city, isn't it?
Yeah, it's already annexed.
Yeah, so there's not an annexation issue. And I remember visiting about the infrastructure and the replat. And I honestly couldn't tell you where, if at all, that went. I think it maybe went to zoning or Dan, and we didn't hear much after that, but it would be really handy to see, surely the city has mapping of that. And if there's an issue with ingress and egress for an adjoining property, I'm not like familiar with an as-built. I don't know where all the structures are there, where the ingress and egress is for each property. But just so they know, because things can take a while from a municipal perspective, if someone has an encroachment for ingress and egress to their own property, which lies on someone else's private property, you don't have to wait for the city. You guys can trade easements, you and your neighbor between yourselves. We don't even necessarily become involved in that. That's a private property issue. I realize the water line is a different thing and that would require the city's attention to discuss, but just if anybody's worried you're gonna croak and they're gonna get left without half a driveway, that's a discussion between private property owners that you can remedy without us, usually.
That was, you said the word I was looking for. Annex wasn't egress. That's the right wording, I guess, for that. Apologies, I guess.
Fair enough.
Say something. We've been trying to get an easement for 3 years.
From Brian?
This is Lindsay Odegaard. We've been actually trying to get an easement for 3 years. And initially we were told when we bought the lot that that road was, that is cities. And we gave all of our plans to Dan. He approved the layout of our garage. He approved the layout of our house. The reason we wanted our garage facing north is because if we kept the house how it was originally laid out, our driveway would be on the south part of that hill and we would have had a massive steep driveway and we were trying to avoid that. We couldn't have it facing South Dakota on the north end because the fire hydrant's there, the water, the sewer, all those lines are there. So there's no way we could have had it facing Dakota Street. So we had to face it north. We got approval. And then once our neighbors bought the property and found out, had some survey done, that's when we found out that the property connecting to our driveway is actually our neighbors and not the city. We talked to the city, Dan specifically, a few times, who said it's taken care of. Said we're making a big deal about it and that we don't have to worry about it. Later on, it came up many times that I was told not to worry about it. It's city property. We have great neighbors. We really do. And thankfully they're nice. And we have this mutual agreement. I think it's just frustrating on our part that it's been 3 years that we still can't get an easement through the county. For whatever reason, and we just want to have some closure that no matter what 99-year easement or whether it's going to be the city's, that you don't have to worry about anything happening. And it could be, someone accidentally, an injury or anything like that that's trying to get to our house and now on his property and things like that. So we're just trying to clear it up that way.
Can you tell me something, Lindsay? Just because I don't have and it is Lindsay, right? It was a little hard to hear you there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, sorry. It's not your fault. It's the system. I promise. Thank you for adjusting the mic. But
Yeah.
Who owns the actual, like, who's the owner? And I'm sorry, I don't know this. I'm trying to figure this out. Is it Brian that owns the property on which part of your driveway sits, or is it the city? I know you were told maybe it was the city, it sounds like, but who actually owns it? What's title to that property?
Brian Colbert.
Okay, so I don't want to step on Dan's toes because I don't have a map in front of me, but I am a lawyer and I'm not giving you legal advice, but I'm willing to tell you what any lawyer would tell you, which is that if your neighbor is Brian and you and Brian have a good relationship, you don't need us to get an easement from Brian if that calms you down. I'm not saying that the city shouldn't buy that property or should. That's beyond the scope of my discussion. But if it helps you guys sleep at night, you don't have to wait for us to get an easement from Brian because we don't own the property. Brian has the right to give you an easement. We don't even have the right to give you an easement because we don't own that property. So that's what I'll say for tonight, if that's helpful, and the commission can figure out the balance, but I don't want you stuck in a lurch while they look into the matter, if that's pressing.
I think one of the issues would be is if you guys worked out a deal where you gave that section to them. I don't want to say gave, but you work something up to where you guys can have the easement. Then if we ever wanted to continue this to the west, in the exact same predicament, right? Now you guys would have that lot or that road.
I got it. Sorry. So are you, what's her name?
Liz.
Liz, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm listening.
So will there, if I did that, would there need to be a survey done?
I don't want to give you specific legal advice, but as a general rule, I can tell you, yes, when you're doing an actual survey, especially for ingress and egress or for a particularized piece of land, you would you guys would probably need a survey. Yes, just to convey it, because when you do a right of way, that's in writing. If you are going to give her a right of way or an easement, it would need to be in writing. It would need to be recorded, and it would need to have a specific legal description, which would probably require a survey. Yes.
Right, and I think we understand that. I think what's frustrating is that we were told several times that it was the city property, and now we're gonna have to pay for an easement.
And just so I know, who told you that? Who told you that the city owned Mr. Is it Kohlberg? No,
Yeah,
sorry.
Dan was something.
Okay. Is Dan there?
Yep.
Can he come up, please? I am so confused. And sorry, commission members, I should have asked you if it's okay if Dan comes up, but
Oh, this is good.
In here, from the beginning, to give you a little history, when he applied for the permit, there was the strip of land where they wanted to put the driveway, which we all agreed, that would be the best location, okay? And then this property is not the city's, but it is designated because there was an existing plat which was unsigned in 2012 that was to be platted and the right of way for the development to go to the west. Okay, now granted, the city erred, obviously, in making or leading you to believe that it was a city's when it's not, but it was the intention and in writing and on an official Mylar plat, which was signed by the surveyor, but never made it to the city commission, never made it to whatever, or just didn't get signed and didn't get recorded. I'm not sure what happened, don't know what happened, but the intent was for any future development, there would be to the west, there would need to be a street there. So that's where I think we were, maybe led to believe that there was a city's, but it really wasn't. But that we would be working towards that to get that platted. And that's where Brian, when he decided to buy the property, that was brought up right away with him in that whole process.
What year did you guys put your house up? And you were told at the time that the city owned that because we found an unsigned Mylar from 2012.
I didn't bring the list, but I have the layout with the plot and all that was given by Dan to me when we looked at that lot and bought it.
So we have like absolute proof that it was never approved or ever signed and told you that it was good to go anyway. Okay, that's that.
May I add? So the easement deal, like I told both of them, I would never, ever block them access to their house. Like, that's just evil or, but they're just worried.
I feel that.
They're just, she wants, like comfort, and I'm like, listen, no, like my whole family, my family's in Florida and they're like, we don't care about North Dakota. Like, if you get die in a plane crash, like we'll just sell all your stuff. I'm like, okay, I guess. So basically, they just want to have comfort. And then I'm also saying, hey, I kind of paid for the sewer and water, like, can I get some of that money back or whatever? And I also carried it down the road a little bit past the house. And then I'm kind of saying, you guys will also get I think it's 0.68 acres, it's over a half acre. And they're happy, I'm good, and you guys are getting a deal for, cause I'm not saying like, oh, I want money for the land and I want money for this and that, whatever. And I think it's a good deal and that's why I'm here, so.
But if they want to, if you guys are like, no, we don't wanna help you out at all, we're not gonna give you anything back, or, you know, you pay for that, that's your own, that's your own screw up, Brian, or whatever, get out of here, then I'm gonna have to work a deal with them, and I told them, I said, and which will work out an easement deal and all that, but they're gonna pay, I'm not paying any more money, I'm done. So they're gonna have to pay the 2,500, or I think it was like $2,500 for a survey to get done. So that's on them.
Which could have been included on the loan when they built the house. If it was done properly. You can finance that out for 30 years and it makes it a lot easier to swallow. This, is that just for the 6 and 8 inch, or does this go all the way to your house?
I don't know exactly. That is everything from the 6 to 8 inch from their edge of their property all the way past my house to the north, maybe like 150 feet, you know. That's a 6 inch and the 8 inch. That finals 41, you see that 41,774, I think it is?
Yeah.
You gotta take $3,500 off of that, because that $3,500 is on me for the 1 inch, for the 1 inch water line and the 4 inch riser for my sewer. Which I would have loved to beyond, like, this side note, but I don't know, maybe you guys can change this, but I guess if you build a house in Tioga, you can't have the house on well water and you can't have a septic. So that's what I was also told too.
Okay, so 38 to 74, right? What you're looking for?
And to be
And then
clear,
if the city pays for the survey and makes it so I just sign, that's, I'm cool with that. Because I've just been doling money out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So basically what the city would have to do is get a survey done and then have that line, that 0.68 acres or 0.67 acres. And then get it approved in Mylar and stuff like that. I'm not worried about doing the 1 acre lots right now. If you guys want to talk later on, maybe a year from now or whatever, I'm not moving anytime soon, but if you guys want to talk about maybe doing something like discussing a good idea for the land to the north, you know, and then putting the sewer and water in, then I'm all for that too. Like, I'm not shutting that down. But like I said, I don't have the resources to put the 6 inch and the 8 inch water line in, and I don't think I should be responsible to do it. Even though people say I'm a developer, okay, you can call me what you want.
Yeah, I don't think we need to quit talking about that water and sewer main lines going north on Dakota because, well, you started, right? And now you got a dead, you got a deadline to that line.
It's 800 feet. That's what it needs to go.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to do something, one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that, like, that's what people say, it's developers gotta put it in, but I mean, it also it's also kind of the city's duty to, supply water and sewer to, residences, not put the lines in for them, but like have access to the water, so I feel like we have maybe some.
Oil and gas impact money can mean a lot of different things. It was intended to offset the impact that the oil activity puts on town, right?
Mhm.
Oil field traffic breaks up roads, you need money to repair roads, right?
That gravel road or whatever.
Another way to look at it too is shortage of housing is an impact. We have a shortage of housing right now.
Yeah, I know.
There's nowhere to move to. We can put amusement parks and water slides and whatever we want to in town, but there's nowhere for people to move to right now. We've got to fix that and address that. Got a lot of property that could give spot for families to live on if there was water and sewer to it. It's on both sides of the street. The east and west roads, it's just not connecting on that half road.
Yeah, because on the the east, it's in the alleyway. The house is, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then my wife, just side note, she says kind of something funny, and she's like, well, so if people touch our pipe, then we can charge them for it. I'm like, no, that's not how it works, but she just, yeah, anyway. I mean, you pay to put something in and then it's like, well, that's nice. Go ahead, I don't know. But yeah, that's what I got.
So we need to make this right.
So it would literally, you're doing three things at once right now. You're getting land, you're making it right for them, and then you're making it right with me. With freedom, like, you know what I mean?
We really need the file from Dan. I mean, I'm intrigued that we represented in 2012, apparently, that we own property that we don't. I certainly think that was not ideal for the other people involved. Dan, I imagine you have that file so we can figure out what's going on, what the infrastructure was, what the permitting request for the infrastructure was, what was represented perhaps in 2012. That's years before I came on with the city, but is that something you can promptly get to the commission and I?
I can, yes.
Yeah, this was 2019. It never went anywhere after 2012.
It didn't get
So-
approved.
In 2019, we represented that we own the property.
That's what we're hearing.
2020, 2021.
Okay, 2020, 2021.
Oh, okay. I want to see, I'd like to see the file. Yeah, we certainly need to know that, and we need to know what's there. Again, just for their edification, if you guys need to make trades between yourselves, the city has no part of that. That's your private, I mean, for now. If you need to figure out an easement to avoid future headache between you, you're at liberty to do that, I guess is what I can say without giving you legal advice.
Well, and then that begs the question too. So, I mean, if that was the plan for that land to get developed, we would have to own that land in order for that to happen. So that's a question too. Do we need to purchase that for future development?
Yeah, I mean, allegedly, there's a park going in south of the railroad track, so in that part of town, and Fifth Street would be the access, which just so happens to be Brian Culver's. Fifth Street.
The city would donate, if I can, right directly
To the west.
west. The whole way, all the way to 105.
Okay, so we need to get some documentation.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff going on, but I think we definitely need to do something for you, Brian.
This needs to go on the next meeting, so the 16th? With some finality to it,
That would be nice.
waiting for how many years?
Well, part of that, I'll be honest, I was pretty frustrated for a while there and I just, I said, I gave up, I just put everything on the back burner. So, and I just,
And then you had a verbal agreement with the city
Yep.
that we didn't honor. We just didn't do anything with it, so. So there's that as well. There's a lot of.
Because- like I said, there is already, because I paid for a survey to get done. And there is already a plot map that has like the 1 acre lots that I was gonna split up to the north for future houses and whatnot, but I was not gonna do that unless somebody put sewer and water in because I can't afford it. So it's kind of like, well, the city's not gonna do it, so I'm like, well, why am I gonna split it up? Like selling 8 acres in town is a lot easier than selling it for 1 acre, with the nice house on it, you know what I mean? Somebody seeing that would be like, oh yeah, I'll buy that from wherever, But
Well, yeah.
if we can,
It's $700,000 to put in water and sewer. That's not into the lots. That's just for the names, right?
Well, that
And if you
was,
split that up 6 ways, you would have to ask well over $100,000 per lot,
but
just to
that's,
break even.
that's what the city engineer said. I've gotten quotes for 200 to like 210 to put the water and sewer all the way to the end of the street. So I don't know what's
That's not-
going on, I don't know what happened. I could ask Rick, the guy who put the, you know, I mean, you can look on there, it's 250 feet, 350 feet for the 6 inch and the 8 inch, and we only need to go 800. So just time, you know, time that by 4 or what, you know what I mean?
And I think there were some hydraulic issues too, like lift stations and connections, going there, some way out in city streets. And it seems to me like we need to look at this a lot closer and maybe cut a bunch of yards of red tape involved with the two. Obviously do it right, but be smart about what we're doing.
Yes, because if the house is to the north, there needs to be a slope, I forgot what it was, but it's 13 feet deep. I'm pretty sure that's what Rick said. So I think it's 1 foot for every 100 foot or something. But, if it's, well, basically the house basically on the end would be like slab on grade. You know what I mean? Or if they wanted a basement or something, they would have to have that like lift station in their basement or something like. But then people are like, well, maybe the couple of those houses on the north, those lots could tie into the trailer court. This discussion has been going on. But yeah, there could the thought to the north was to tie into the trailer court piping, but that's not big enough to support 2 more houses, I guess. From what I was kind of alluded to.
Okay, so
But it is possible. That's what Jeff was saying before you left. It's doable, but it's like, I don't, you know. It would have to get looked at again.
is there any part of why you don't want to further separate those lots into more? Does it have anything to do with your awkward situation right now?
No,
No?
no. I don't have the money to put the sewer and water in, and it's just the headache and it's, you know,
I want to make sure that you don't want to, the reason you don't want to separate those lots and possibly, you know, you've been riding the struggle bus with us for the last 3 years.
because I don't want to devote, no, I'd sell them. I'd split them up. But I don't want to, I'm sorry, I don't want to split it up now. And then you guys are like, no, I don't want to, Brian, kick rocks. And then I'm like, well, now I have to pay taxes on 7 parcels. And it's like, dude, now I'm like screwed. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean?
Or separate them 3 years later, find out somebody else owns it. Can I help you?
Okay.
We can see some documentation on it,
Fine, I can give you guys whatever you need.
all of it. No, seriously, like everything you have. So come the 16, we're all educated enough.
If you go, how I found out that I was like, oh no, about your driveway situation. Is if you go on and you can, I forgot what website it is. I think it's the Williams County map.
Yeah, the county website, yeah.
Yeah, you can see every single parcel, who owns it and the size. It's pretty cool. And, yeah, it was literally, you could see the satellite view and the line was just right up. And
It'll be top 3 in old business, I think, next meeting.
along that. Okay.
Yeah, we better put it on next meeting and we'll do some looking into it. We'll figure out how to make it right somehow.
Agreed.
till the 16th.
Yes, 16th. I'm sorry, it's another 2 weeks.
No,
You've got to get a little more
It's-
educated on that history.
Yeah,
That's-
it's-
That's a lot of unknown there.
Thanks.
Yep, no problem. I'm good, right? Bye, guys.
Moving on, number 11, Benson Street Residence Water Line, okay. The background here is we have a home that the water line froze up multiple times this last winter. My understanding is it was swapped over to a different line, I believe in October. Froze up a couple times. We hired a plumber from Stanley to come out and essentially fish it out with their de-icer hose. They got out 100 foot each time, didn't break into anything. So really the reason why this is on there is we quite possibly have an issue somewhere just before the curb stop or wherever 100 foot from the house is to the middle of the street. So we're gonna have to, I think, dig up the road and it's gonna be purely exploratory. We don't know if we're gonna find anything wrong. We don't know what exactly we're looking for. We just hoping we find a shallow spot. If they connected in from the top of the water line and ran it straight up before taking off to the east, I don't know. Something is freezing out. We can't keep having that happen. I don't know what you guys want to do. We haven't went out and got quotes on anything yet. If you want to, not to exceed, or if you want to start going out and getting quotes for pilot, be Kyle, Steven, you guys. Jim McGinnity would be an outstanding resource to reach out to. This Esther home, them as well, but we've got to do something. I know it's June 2nd, but winter's coming. Scary part is I don't know if we're gonna find anything. Is it because we did such late construction and we didn't get the proper compaction? I don't know, but all we do know for sure, we went 100 feet away from the house twice and didn't hit the freeze. So it's somewhere. Also, there was other houses further to the north that, yeah, there's other houses further to the north that also froze up out into the street.
So I'm Karen Boucher, that's on property. So last July 1st, a new line was put in because covered in January, the line I was on was scheduled to be abandoned during road construction on North Main. So I was put on a bad old line from July 1st until October 22nd. It was rusty the whole time. And then October 22nd, the new line went in. And the city guys did feel it was kind of late and were concerned about it settling, whatever. Then February 14, I woke up to frozen water, nothing. And I didn't have water for 15. And in that time, city employees went in my crawl space and tried to find the blockage, from that direction. So they went out 50 feet, and then I think they called. What you say?
Elvinger, I think was their name.
Okay,
They're out of Stanley.
so then they tried, not from my crawl space, but somewhere like at the curb stop. It's, another direction, but found nothing other than it was frozen there, and one of them told me that it's only 5 feet deep at the curb stop. And I'm the only one that it is deep. So from just discussion with those guys and other people such as Jim McGinnity, it's like, it's highly possible that there's not enough water flowing through it. But the fact that it's probably only 5 feet deep at that curb stop, that is not deep enough in North Dakota. And I was told by someone from the city that that was the only way that they could attach this new line to the city feed, there wasn't a way to get it deep enough. That's what I think needs to be looked at. If
But we're still thinking from the curb stop to the main road. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out how far down the valve on the curb stop is. Pull a cover, run a tape measure down. Once you get the valves down, that's how deep it is. It's really easy to verify.
We should look into that first.
You have to. You have to before winter gets here. It's
yeah, I've
unbudgeted
been in
again.
that house since 2007. I've never had these water issues. So it's that line where
So do you guys remember it was like our first or second meeting when they were talking about that loop line between Benson and Maine? And they said they found a valve and we asked them to go down there. They had to put a line on it. This Sunday down the road. Everybody does it. You see a valve, something's not right. The first thing is you open the valve. That's gotta be what's wrong, right? We specifically asked them, abandon that line so somebody doesn't inadvertently open the valve that they shouldn't. So when you got all that rusty, nasty water, they didn't abandon the line. Someone went and opened the valve. It just happened in 30 years, like we hoped it wouldn't happen. So that's the line that never grows up because it's been there for like decades. And it was time to be replaced. Yeah. Now she's on a new service. It's an issue with the new service. Okay, so we are gonna get,
Well, I guess at a certain point, I mean, if we start at the street and start digging per se, and then we don't find anything that's alarming, I mean, we're just gonna keep digging. I mean, we're already there. To me, it doesn't make sense to stop, come back to the commission. We didn't find anything. Now we gotta continue again, get approval again. To me, I think start the street, and I know the dirt's been redone. It looks nice, but
no, it doesn't.
well,
We have to discuss that. Someday too.
so
I'm not concerned about that right now. I'm concerned about that a lot.
I think we need to
get
get,
concerned with approval and beyond where we could reach, trying to thaw it out. Because we can confirm they went on 50 foot, 100 foot, there wasn't no blockage. To start somewhere downstream of there. And if that means going all the way to the street, I mean, who knows? They might have tapped into the top of the pipe and just went vertical with it. So they could hit their curb stop. And it's just shallow the whole way. But I think you're right. Start at the street, work your way to the curb stop, and then just keep going.
I mean, that's the only logical thing, because it's pointless to dig a certain way and then we stop and come back here and then yep, you can go again, and you're already there. So I think we just need to start street and work our way toward the house. And if it's very noticeable that, hey, we're only 5 feet or 3, whatever it is, close per issue, you know, but start the street and work our way.
We gotta go fast because school's starting.
We're putting something extra down there, insulation or something that just as another reinforcement.
And Bro's guys sitting there nodding his head. Yeah, do you think that's the idea? Ideally, we just get it deeper.
Ideally, we have it.
Like I said, it's gonna be exploratory, but we have to start exploring.
So am I able to make a motion to have Jim McGinnity come and start digging, or do we have to get quotes first? How do we even get,
You could do a not to exceed. You know, we originally did a not to exceed on this project. July. I know that was before your time, but me and Jaden and Steve were here for that.
I guess, I don't know what it costs. I mean, what are we looking at for not to exceed?
Last time, we had two different options. There was one to go to an existing curb stop and one that goes straight to the main. And I think the higher option of the two was like 27,000. I think we'd be say under 30 for sure, because we're only going from curb stop to main now. We got trench boxes to deal with and speed.
So we're saying 30, not to exceed 30. So see who can come out and dig it from starting at the street and go in, not to exceed 30,000.
That's
If I can
heavy.
say one thing, I really don't want the man that did it also. I haven't said anything. Just because he kept saying, I'll be there in 2 weeks, I'll be there in 2 weeks, and that's what took us to August.
Well, and that's fine, but we hold people accountable. We used to have contractors redoing streets and stuff, and they said they'd finish, and they said they'd finish, and they're 3 years over schedule now, and they're completely finished. We don't let that fly anymore. That kind of stuff happens, they just don't get paid. We're gonna hold everybody accountable, and they're gonna have a timeline to hit.
So I make,
You don't have to make a motion, that's the whole thing, I'm just putting it on your radar. If you guys want to go get quotes, that's fine too, but we need to move it along.
And we could go get quotes, but I'm also kind of with you, just if we can get it going now, just with the budget, tell them, hey, this is our budget. Start digging, kind of like you're saying, you know, which it sounds nice. If it's actually, they actually did go 100 feet, that does give us a very good perspective of where we need to start and move to. That cuts it down a lot. So what do you think, Kyle?
I don't know, I think we just need to find someone that's willing to do it and start digging, and this is the max.
And also keep in mind, we gotta repair the asphalt too, which you've got a pretty good idea of what that costs per square foot.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure how to word the motion.
Well, if you're just investigating the expense, a motion would be premature, I think is what Brett's saying, Kyle. If it's an emergency situation, I mean, there's an exception for emergencies and infrastructure in any case, but if you're merely going to solicit estimates, Brett's right. You don't have to do a motion for that purpose.
Okay, thanks.
We're in agreement, we're gonna do some research before next meeting and have all of our information ready with quotes.
Yep, I'll make the phone calls.
Water line deal. All right. Okay, moving on to one of our write-ins, that's the Freedom Fest. Okay, we got a couple of items here. One we talked about earlier, two, porta johns. The city normally helps out and pays for all that. Is going to continue doing that. That would be part one, and then part two, also utilizing a couple city employees to help with garbage, barricades, stuff like that on Saturday. So essentially, we're looking to help out with the Freedom Fest with manpower and resources. Resources being getting hold of Gustafson and get some rental units for the jobs for the event.
I can't remember who they used last year. They're kind of some bushy porta johns, but they're nice.
Hills.
Hills.
There you go.
I guess I make a motion to approve, Hills to supply porta johns for the event.
I'll second.
And we're in agreement that the city's gonna pay for it.
Correct.
A motion and a second to approve Hills.
Just,
I'm
just to clarify, that'll be JTH portables. I think is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
It's Jason and Tanya Hill that own JTH Portables. That's what.
Yeah, motion and second are still the same then, for, get a motion and a second to approve Hills supplying. Correct. Origins for Freedom Fest. Paid for by the city. Discussion? Okay, move to a vote.
Yes.
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 The motion carries, and then also city employees, commissioners, whoever we want to rally to help with garbage, setting up barricades. There's one other thing, putting up fences. That would be for Saturday. So you're gonna have to approve some overtime, right?
Yeah, I guess I'll make the motion to, dedicate a few employees to help with the Freedom Fest, that Saturday.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second to dedicate a couple of employees for assisting with Freedom Fest on that Saturday. Does that sound good to you guys? Okay, move to a vote.
Yes.
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 And motion carries. Lastly, on new business, we have that Northwest Sportsman Association. Book 30 minutes calendar raffle. The calendar draw with the exact retail value is $3,525. So this would be September 1st through September 30th. That's all I'm seeing on here. The intended use is for youth activities and a banquet. Both good things.
So I make a motion to approve the Northwest Sportsman's Association permit.
I'll second that. And we have a motion and a second to approve the Northwest Sportsman Association permit. Any discussion on that? Okay, we'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 The motion carries, and the consent agenda. So we've got payroll for June 6th, 2025 and June bills.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
And got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any questions on either of those items? All right, moving to a vote.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. You good? Want to talk about anything? Okay,
And I put in my application for an extended license for the, 4th of July. So do I still have to draw where my, bar is gonna go? And because on the back of the application, every year when I've applied, you had to draw on the back, show where you're going to be. And I would draw under the tent, and I was always approved. So now, since you're kind of wavering on that, do I still have to show you where I'm going to have to position my bar?
I think you could do what others have done and put option 1, option 2.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
And last year, I know it was a big to-do, the fact that I wouldn't move my bar, but legally, if I would have moved it, that is not what was approved by the city. So then it would be like I can just put it wherever I want, put it, no matter what you guys approved. Do you know what I mean? That's why I argued with them last year about moving my bar, because the license was for right there in that corner. So could I have just taken it upon myself because they wanted me to move? I could have moved it anywhere I wanted then, even though I was approved for under the tent. That's why I wouldn't move. Because my license was for under the tent by the city commission. So I wasn't trying to be difficult. It's just that, you know, Could I just move it wherever I want because they don't want me under the tent? My license said under the tent.
So,
I don't know what that looks like, I mean, to be honest, because like, if you get a special liquor license for an event at the community center, do they make you draw exactly where
Yeah,
the
they do.
community center, where
it's you're like for one spot only, you don't move all around.
so you
Yeah.
can't move it?
Same like, other than this whole thing, same thing, you gotta
Yeah.
know where you're gonna be at. That's your,
It's
Yeah,
because
It sounds like maybe there, and I don't want to weigh in, we weren't party, but there's room for discussions between the Freedom Fest and organizers and the bars there, but I mean, I don't blame you. For what it's worth, you should not be selling liquor anywhere that the city hasn't specifically authorized. So,
right, that was my argument last year. Because they authorized me to sell right there in that corner under the tent.
fair enough. Well, hopefully you guys can work it out between you, and since it wasn't last year's board that approved that, you can fairly blame the city for authorizing your license last year. I hope you guys are able to work it out. It's a good event.
A long time ago, when we first moved to John Dave and I, when they had the fun festival and stuff like that, I can remember on Main Street in front of the barn, like, a few of it, they always had like a corral.
Yeah, we
That
always,
was the width of your building, right?
right.
Is
we
that
always-
something that would work, like, at the bowling alley, at the same time, have something down there,
Right,
where it was like cattle guard,
yeah,
that they
still
came off
required.
the outside of, from their dimension of their building, they came out, and that's what their liquor license was able to have.
we always had to, block it off.
We still
Block it
have-
off.
We still do.
But it was the dimensions of their building, of their property. And then they got to, the bowling alley was wider than what the model is, but and then the school had theirs across the street. But that's how they determined where their liquor license was on Main Street for a special event.
That makes way more sense than going off of the dimensions of the bar itself, it's like you got a brand right there.
Yeah,
If
the
you
dimensions
feel
of
that,
what their property was.
that-
Well, I thought it was kind of, coming from Meyer, it was kind of like, what, But it worked for many, many, many years. There was no question about it, they were able to extend their liquor license out to that area. Maybe that's something that would be the way to have it done. I mean, that house would have, their people would be in that area, and, just an idea. I just remember that from a long time ago.
That's made up for so.
All right, we'll need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. We will move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The motion carries. We are adjourned at 9:07 PM.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Liz.